I still smell the smoke from that summer barbecue, thick with charred meat and betrayal. My name's Callie Voss, and that day in Willow Creek my world cracked open. My daughter Ellie was 14, all wide eyes and quiet dreams, clutching a sketchbook full of dresses she'd drawn in secret. We pulled up to my sister Mara's sprawling backyard, the kind of place that screamed money but whispered cruelty. I told myself it'd be fine. Just one afternoon. Just family. But family's a word that cuts deeper than any knife. Ellie wore a lilac dress she'd saved for, her pride stitched into every seam. She looked like hope itself, her dark hair catching the sunlight, a cheap charm bracelet jingling on her wrist. I squeezed her hand in the car. "You're enough, kid," I said. She smiled, nervous but trusting. I should have known better than to bring her into that viper's nest. The air buzzed with laughter, kids chasing each other, adults sipping drinks under a perfect blue sky. It looked like a postcard, but I felt the weight of their eyes. Mara, my sister, glided over, all sharp cheekbones and designer linen. Her hug was cold, her smile a blade. "Callie, you made it," she said, then turned to Ellie. Her gaze lingered, dissecting. "Well, don't you look sweet?" The word landed like a slap. Before I could speak, Mara pressed a tray of lemonade glasses into Ellie's hands. "Be a dear and pass these out," she said, already turning away. Ellie froze, her eyes darting to me. I nodded, swallowing my rage. Pick your battles, I thought. We'd get through this. But watching her weave through the crowd, balancing that tray while people barely glanced at her, something in me twisted. She was my daughter, not their servant. I sat at a picnic table with my mother, Ruth, who fanned herself with a napkin and barely looked up. "You're late," she said, like it was my life's crime. My Uncle Dan grunted, his silence louder than words. I kept my eyes on Ellie, willing her to stay strong. Then Mara's voice cut through the chatter, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Ellie, did you make that dress in home, see?" Laughter rippled. Ellie's shoulders stiffened, but she kept moving, head down, serving drinks to people who didn't deserve her. I stood, ready to grab her and leave, but Ruth's hand clamped my arm. "She needs to toughen up," she whispered. I yanked free, my pulse pounding. Ellie's face was a mask, but I saw the tremble in her lip, the way she blinked too fast. I should have walked out right then. Should have shielded her. But I didn't. I stood there, paralyzed by the need to keep the peace, to prove we belonged. That's when the disease showed itself. Not in our bodies but in their hearts. It was a sickness of contempt, festering in their smirks, their casual cruelty. They saw Ellie as less, a girl to mock, a shadow to order around. And me? The single mom who should be grateful for scraps. I felt it spreading, poisoning the air, and I hated myself for breathing it in. Then, a low rumble broke the moment. Heads turned as a sleek black sedan rolled into the driveway, out of place among the dusty pickups. A woman stepped out, tall, poised, her presence like a storm cloud. She didn't hesitate, didn't scan the crowd. She walked straight for Ellie, her heels clicking with purpose. The yard went quiet. Mara froze mid-sip. Even Ruth sat up straighter. The woman knelt before Ellie, ignoring the tray still wobbling in her hands. "Princess," she said, voice warm but commanding. "Are you ready for your destiny?" Ellie's eyes widened, lost. The woman looked at me, her gaze steady. "Ms. Voss, I'm Lena Carver. I've been trying to reach you." My heart raced. I didn't know her, didn't know what this was, but every instinct screamed it was big. "She doesn't belong here," Lena said, loud enough for the yard to hear. "Ellie's been chosen." Chosen? For what? My mind spun. Mara stepped forward, her smile brittle. "Excuse me, this is a private event." Lena didn't even glance at her. She handed Ellie a silver envelope, sealed with a wax crest. "Open it," she urged. Ellie's fingers trembled as she broke the seal. Inside was a letter, words like scholarship and prestigious academy jumping out. Her sketches, those quiet dreams she'd hidden, had won her a spot in a national art program. A full ride. A future. I stared, pride and shock colliding. Ellie looked up, voice barely a whisper. "Me." "Yes, you," Lena said. The yard was silent, forks paused, jaws slack. Mara's laugh was forced. "Her little drawings," she said like it was a joke. Lena's eyes turned cold. "Her vision," she corrected. "Something you wouldn't understand." I put my hand on Ellie's shoulder, my voice shaking. "You did this." But inside I was burning. They'd humiliated her, diminished her, and now the truth was out. My daughter was extraordinary. They tried to break her, but she was rising. And I was done playing nice. As Lena led Ellie toward the sedan, promising a gala that night, I felt the shift. This wasn't just about her victory. It was about their failure. They'd mocked her, used her, and now they pay. I looked at Mara, at Ruth, at every face that had laughed, and I made a vow. They'd see what we were made of. They'd choke on their own poison. Ellie climbed into the car, clutching that envelope like a lifeline. The door shut. The engine purred. As they pulled away, Mara's voice broke the silence. "Callie, you're not seriously letting her go with a stranger?" I turned, my smile sharp enough to cut. "She's not the stranger here." I walked to my car, heart pounding with a new kind of fire. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I'd make them regret every word, every laugh. But as I gripped the steering wheel, a chill hit me. Lena's envelope had a symbol, a crest I'd seen before years ago, tied to secrets I'd buried deep. What had I just let Ellie walk into? The sedan's taillights faded into the dusk, and I stood alone in Mara's driveway, my heart a war drum. Ellie was gone, whisked off to a gala with Lena Carver, a woman I didn't know but whose presence had shattered my family's smug little world. I drove home to our cramped Willow Creek apartment, the silence heavier than ever. Ellie's sketchbook lay open on the couch, her lilac dresses design staring up at me. I traced the lines, her dreams in pencil and ink. She was soaring, but I was sinking. That night, I couldn't sleep. The barbecue played on a loop in my head, Mara's mocking laugh, Ruth's cold grip, the way Ellie's shoulders hunched under their judgment. I'd let it happen. I'd stood there, smiling like a coward while they treated my daughter like dirt. The disease wasn't just their cruelty, it was my silence, my need to belong to a family that never wanted us. I hated them, but I hated myself more. By morning, I was a wreck. My phone buzzed with a text from Ellie. "Mom, it's amazing. They love my sketches. I'm okay." Her words should have lifted me, but they didn't. I felt hollow, like I'd failed her long before that barbecue. I stared at the mirror, my eyes bloodshot, my face gaunt. 36 years old, and I looked like I'd been fighting a war. Maybe I had. I called in sick to my diner job and sat on the floor, surrounded by old photos. Ellie as a baby, grinning in my arms. Me younger, before Mara's money and Ruth's disappointment carved me into someone who apologized for existing. I'd been a dreamer once, sketching my own designs, but I gave it up when Ellie came along. Single mom, no support, no time. I buried my fire to keep us fed. Now seeing Ellie rise, I wondered, what had I buried myself for? That's when I decided to change. Not just for her, but for me. I couldn't keep being the woman who let her daughter serve lemonade to snakes. I started small. I dug out my old sketchbook, its pages yellowed but alive with ideas. I drew for hours, my hands shaking, rediscovering a part of me I'd locked away. I ran too every morning, the pavement pounding out my rage. My body grew stronger, my mind sharper. I wasn't just Callie Voss anymore. I was becoming someone they'd fear. A week later, Ellie called from the academy in Crest Haven, her voice bright. "Mom, they're teaching me about fabric and color theory. I met a mentor, Miss Tate. She designed for movies." I smiled, but my chest tightened. She was thriving, but I was still here in Willow Creek, where Mara's poison lingered. I needed to act, to make them pay for what they'd done. That's when I met Jasper. He was a regular at the diner, a wiry guy with ink-stained fingers and a quiet intensity. He'd always tipped well, left cryptic notes on napkins like, "The truth cuts deeper than lies." One day, as I cleared his table, he looked at me, really looked, and said, "You're different lately. Like you're waking up." I froze. How did he see it? I didn't know him, not really, but his words stuck. Over coffee after my shift, Jasper told me he was a freelance investigator, someone who dug up secrets for a living. "People like your sister," he said, "they've got skeletons. You want revenge? Start with the truth." His eyes glinted, like he knew the fire in me. I hesitated. Digging into Mara's life felt dangerous, but the thought of her smug face at that barbecue pushed me forward. "What would it cost?" I asked. He grinned. "For you? A favor someday." I agreed, and Jasper started working. He was fast, too good at it. Within days, he had dirt. Mara's perfect life wasn't so perfect. Her husband's business was shaky, her charity events a front for tax games. Nothing illegal, not yet, but cracks in her armor. I felt a thrill imagining her exposed, her pedestal crumbling. But Jasper warned me, "This is just the surface. You want real damage, we go deeper." "You ready for that?" I was. Or I thought I was. I started showing up at Mara's events, not as the timid sister but as someone new. I wore my old designs, tailored to fit the woman I was becoming. Heads turned. Mara's smile faltered when she saw me at her country club fundraiser, my presence a quiet threat. I didn't say much, just watched her squirm. Ruth called, her voice sharp. "What are you playing at, Callie?" I hung up. They didn't get to control me anymore. Ellie came home for a weekend, her eyes brighter than ever. She showed me her latest sketches, bold and fearless. Miss Tate says I could go pro, she said, grinning. I hugged her, but my mind was elsewhere. Jasper had sent me a file encrypted, with a note. Open this, and there's no going back. I hadn't looked yet, but its weight sat in my inbox, a ticking bomb. That night, I sat at my laptop, cursor hovering over the file. My revenge was taking shape, but so was something else, a nagging fear. Lena Carver's crest, that symbol on Ellie's envelope, kept haunting me. I'd seen it before in a box of my father's things hidden after he left us. He'd been tied to something shadowy, something I'd never understood. Was Ellie's scholarship a gift, or a trap? I clicked the file. A single photo loaded, Mara, younger, standing with a man I didn't recognize. Behind them, a building with that same crest. My blood ran cold. Mara knew Lena. Mara was part of whatever this was. And Ellie was in the middle of it. The photo burned into my retina, Mara, smirking, arm in arm with a stranger, that damn crest looming behind them. My sister wasn't just cruel, she was tangled in something bigger, something that had its claws in Ellie. I slammed my laptop shut, my pulse a freight train. Willow Creek's quiet streets felt suffocating, the air thick with secrets. I'd started this for revenge, but now it was about protecting my daughter. The disease of their lies had spread too far, and I was done letting it fester. Jasper met me at a dive bar on the edge of town, the kind of place where nobody asks questions. He slid a folder across the table, his face grim. You sure about this, Callie? He asked, his voice low. This isn't just dirt. It's dynamite. I nodded, my hand steady despite the storm inside. The folder held bank records, emails, names, proof Mara's charity was a front, siphoning money to a group tied to that crest. The same group behind Ellie's scholarship. My stomach twisted. Mara hadn't just mocked Ellie. She'd known about the academy, maybe even pushed Ellie's sketches into their hands. Why? I drove to Crest Haven that weekend, Ellie's academy a sleek campus of glass and ambition. She ran out to meet me, her sketchbook tucked under her arm, her smile brighter than the sun. Mom, you should see the studio, she said, pulling me inside. Her joy was real, but every crest on the walls, etched in plaques, woven into banners, felt like a warning. I played along, nodding as she showed me her designs, but my eyes scanned for Lena Carver. I needed answers. That night, at a campus reception, I saw her. Lena, poised and untouchable, chatting with donors. I cornered her by the dessert table, my voice low. What's Mara's connection to this place? I asked. Lena's smile didn't falter, but her eyes sharpened. You're mistaken, Ms. Voss. This is about Ellie's talent, nothing more. She stepped away, but I caught her wrist. I saw the photo. Mara. The crest. Don't lie to me. Her composure cracked, just for a second. Be careful, Callie, she whispered. You don't know what you're digging into. I left the reception shaken. Lena's warning wasn't fear, it was a threat. Back home, I pored over Jasper's files. The crest belonged to the Echelon Society, a shadowy network of elites, business tycoons, politicians, artists. They funded talent like Ellie's, but whispers online hinted at control, manipulation. Kids like her weren't just students, they were assets. My revenge wasn't just about Mara anymore. It was about tearing down whatever this was. I started pushing harder. I leaked snippets of Mara's financial games to a local blogger, anonymous but sharp. The posts went viral in Willow Creek, whispers turning into headlines. Mara's perfect image cracked, her charity lost sponsors, her husband's business took hits. I watched her unravel at a town gala, her smile tight as she dodged reporters. I stood in the back, my old designs tailored to my new fire, and when our eyes met, I didn't look away. She knew it was me. But revenge wasn't clean. Ruth called, her voice venom. You're destroying this family, Callie. Stop this nonsense. I laughed bitter. Family? You let them humiliate Ellie. You're no mother to me. She hung up, but her words lingered. Was I going too far? Ellie was thriving, but what if my war hurt her? The moral line blurred, revenge felt righteous, but it was consuming me. I barely slept, my dreams haunted by that crest, by Mara's smirk, by Ellie's trusting eyes. Jasper pushed me to go bigger. We've got a name, he said one night, handing me a USB drive. Victor Kane. Echelon's top dog. He's in Crest Haven next week. Confront him, you get answers. I hesitated. Kane was untouchable, a shadow behind the society's power. But Ellie was in their world now, and I couldn't stop. I agreed to crash his private dinner, using Jasper's hacked invite. It was reckless, but I was past caring. The night before Ellie called, her voice quieter. Mom, something's weird. Miss Tate asked about you, about our family. She knew things like about Mara. My heart stopped. They were watching us. I told Ellie to stay sharp, to trust no one. She laughed, nervous. You sound like a spy movie. I forced a smile, but fear clawed me. Had I pushed too far, too fast? At Kane's dinner, I slipped in, my dress a weapon, my rage a shield. The room dripped wealth, chandeliers, wine, power. Kane stood at the head, silver-haired, eyes like a predator. I approached, my voice steady. Mr. Kane, wise echelon targeting my daughter? Heads turned. His smile was ice. You're out of your depth, Ms. Voss. Leave or you'll regret it. I didn't budge. Not until you tell me what Mara's role is. He leaned in, voice ablade. Mara's a pawn. You're the problem. Before I could respond, security grabbed me, dragging me out. But as I stumbled into the night, I saw her, Mara, in the shadows, watching. Our eyes locked. She wasn't just part of this. She betrayed me deeper than I'd imagined. And then my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Ellie's next. Stop now or she pays. The text glowed on my phone screen. Ellie's next. Stop now or she pays. My breath caught, the night air sharp in my lungs. Mara's eyes still burned in my memory, watching me from the shadows outside Kane's dinner. She wasn't just complicit, she was the architect of this trap. Willow Creek streets blurred as I drove home, my hands shaking on the wheel. I'd wanted revenge, but now it wasn't just about tearing down Mara or exposing Echelon. It was about saving Ellie from the jaws I'd unwittingly led her into. I locked my apartment door, the click too loud in the silence. Jasper's files were scattered across my table, a map of lies and power. I called Ellie, my heart pounding. She answered, sleepy but safe, still at the Cresthaven Academy. Mom, it's late. Everything okay? Her voice was a lifeline, but I couldn't tell her the truth, not yet. Just checking in, I lied. Love you. She mumbled it back and I hung up, guilt choking me. I'd let her walk into Echelon's world, thinking it was her dream. Now I had to get her out. Jasper showed up at dawn, his face drawn. You saw the text, he said, not a question. I nodded, shoving the phone at him. Who sent it? He scanned it, his jaw tight. Burner number. Echelon style, clean, untraceable. He pulled out a laptop, fingers flying. But I've got something. Kane's meeting Mara tomorrow, private estate outside Cresthaven. If you want answers, that's your shot. I stared at him. Crashing a meeting like that was suicide. But Ellie's life was on the line and I was done hesitating. I'm in, I said. I spent the day preparing, no turning back. I tailored a new outfit from my old designs, black, sharp, a second skin that screamed defiance. My reflection wasn't the tired single mom anymore, it was a woman forged in rage and love. But as I packed a recorder and a knife, just in case, a memory hit me, raw and unbidden. Years ago, when Ellie was 5, Mara had come to our old trailer, all pity and promises. Let me help, she'd said, handing me cash. I'd taken it, desperate, not seeing the strings. That was the first time she'd owned me. Never again. The drive to Cresthaven was a blur. Jasper's intel got me past the estate's gates, posing as a caterer. The house was a fortress of glass and stone, Echelon's wealth on display. I slipped inside, heart hammering, the recorder hidden in my sleeve. Mara and Kane were in a study, their voices low through the cracked door. I crouched, listening, every word fuel for my fire. You promised she'd stay quiet, Mara hissed. Callie's digging, and now she's got that investigator. Kane's voice was smooth, cold. You underestimated her. Ellie's the leverage now. Keep her in the program, and Callie backs off. Mara laughed bitter. She's my sister. She'll never stop. My blood ran cold. Ellie wasn't just a student to them, she was a hostage. And Mara had sold us both out. I hit record, capturing every damning word. They talked numbers, deals, how Echelon used kids like Ellie to launder influence, grooming them for power or breaking them if they resisted. My daughter was a pawn in their game, and Mara had handed her over. I wanted to burst and scream, tear them apart. But I stayed still, my rage a blade I'd sharpen later. Then a guard's shadow loomed. I bolted, slipping through a side door, but not before Mara's voice followed me, find her. End this. I ran into the night, the recorder burning in my pocket. I'd crossed the line, no more leaks or games. I had proof now, enough to bury them. But proof meant nothing if Ellie wasn't safe. Back in Willow Creek, I met Jasper at his safe house, a cluttered basement that smelled of coffee and ink. I played the recording, his eyes widening. This is enough to go public, he said. But Echelon's got reach, cops, judges. You leak this, they'll come for you both. I nodded, my mind racing. There was another way, riskier but final. I want to confront Mara, I said. Face to face. Force her to confess on camera. Jasper hesitated. That's personal. You sure you can handle her? I thought of Ellie, her lilac dress, her dreams. She's my sister. I know her weaknesses. We planned it, lure Mara to a neutral spot, a diner outside town, under the guise of a truce. I'd wear a hidden camera, get her to admit everything. If she refused, I'd play the recording, watch her crumble. The emotional peak came that night, alone in my apartment. I found Ellie's old sketchbook, a drawing from when she was 8, a dress for me, labeled Mom, the hero. Tears burned my eyes. I'd been no hero, letting Mara and Ruth diminish us, but I could be now. I clutched the sketch, my trauma spilling out. Every insult, every time I'd bitten my tongue, it wasn't just for peace, it was fear. Fear of losing what little family I had. The family wasn't Mara's cruelty or Ruth's silence. It was Ellie. And I'd burned the world to protect her. The diner meeting was set for dawn. I arrived early, camera rigged, the recorder in my bag. Mara walked in, all polish and poison, her smile a mask. "Callie, let's be reasonable," she said, sliding into the booth. I leaned forward, my voice steel. "Reasonable? You sold out Ellie. Tell me why." Her eyes flickered, but she laughed. "You're paranoid. She's fine." I played the recording, her voice filling the diner, admitting everything. Her face went white. "Turn it off," she hissed. I didn't. "Confess, Mara, or this goes viral." She lunged for the recorder, but I was faster, grabbing her wrist. "You're done," I said. For a moment, she looked small, scared. Then her mask returned. "You think you've won?" she whispered. "Check your phone." I pulled it out, my heart stopping. A new text, same burner number, a photo of Ellie, asleep in her dorm, time-stamped an hour ago. Mara smiled, cold as death. "You're not the only one with leverage." The diner's fluorescent lights buzzed, casting Mara's smug face in a sickly glow. The photo of Ellie, asleep and vulnerable, burned into my vision. My sister sat across from me, her smile a knife. "You're not the only one with leverage," she'd said. My hand tightened around the recorder, its weight the only thing keeping me from lunging across the table. I'd come to bury her, but Echelon's reach had Ellie in its grip. Revenge was slipping through my fingers, and all I could feel was fear. I stood, shoving the recorder in my bag. "This isn't over," I said, voice low. Mara leaned back, unfazed. "Run along, Callie. Save your little girl. But you'll never touch me." I walked out, the dawn air biting my skin. My mind raced. The recording was my weapon, but using it now could cost Ellie everything. Echelon wasn't just Mara, it was Kane, Lena, a network of vipers who'd crush us both. I needed to be smarter, faster, final. Jasper was waiting in his van outside. I slid in, handing him the camera footage from the diner. "She admitted nothing," I said, but she showed her hand. "They're watching Ellie." Jasper's face darkened. "We go public, they'll retaliate. We need to get her out first." I nodded, my chest tight. Ellie was still at Cresthaven, surrounded by Echelon's eyes. I called her, keeping my voice steady. "Pack a bag, kid. I'm picking you up today. No questions." She hesitated, sensing my tone. "Mom, what's wrong?" I swallowed. "Just trust me." The drive to Cresthaven was 2 hours of hell. Every mile, I saw that photo, Ellie's peaceful face, unaware of the danger. Jasper had dug deeper overnight, finding a weak link, Lena Carver. She wasn't just Echelon's recruiter, she'd been skimming funds, a traitor in their ranks. If I could turn her, I'd have the key to dismantling their hold on Ellie. But it meant risking everything. At the academy, Ellie ran to me, her sketchbook clutched tight. "Mom, you're scaring me," she said, eyes wide. I hugged her, whispering, "We're leaving. I'll explain later." As we headed to the car, Lena appeared, her smile too perfect. "Ms. Voss, a word?" I sent Ellie ahead, my pulse spiking. Alone, Lena's mask dropped. "You're making a mistake," she said. "Ellie's safe as long as you play along." I stepped closer, voice ice. "I know about your side deals, Lena. Help me or I expose you to Kane." Her eyes widened, fear flickering. I had her. "Meet me tonight," I said. "Willow Creek, Old Mill. Bring proof of Echelon's plans for Ellie." She nodded, pale, and I walked away, Ellie safe in the car. But doubt gnawed at me. Lena was a snake, could I trust her? I didn't have a choice. Back in Willow Creek, I hid Ellie at Jasper's safe house. She sat on a cot, sketching, her lilac dress folded beside her. "Mom, tell me what's happening," she pleaded. I knelt, taking her hands. "People hurt us, Ellie. Mara, others. They used your talent to control us. I'm fixing it." Her eyes searched mine, then hardened. "Make them pay," she said, voice fierce. My heart swelled. She wasn't just my daughter, she was my strength. At midnight, I met Lena at the mill, its rusted beams creaking in the dark. She handed me a flash drive. "Echelon's contracts," she said, voice shaky. "Ellie's marked for their elite program, control, not freedom." Mara signed off. I checked the drive on Jasper's laptop, my blood boiling. It was all there, names, dates, Ellie's future scripted like a puppet's. "Why help me?" I asked. Lena's laugh was bitter. "Kane's cutting me out. You're my way, wisdom is my strength." I nodded, slipping the drive into my pocket. "You're free," she said, her eyes blazing. "But you won't touch me." The mill's shadows danced as I faced Lena, the flash drive heavy in my hand. This ends now, I said. She smirked, but I saw the fear in her eyes. You're nothing, Callie. You'll never win. I stepped closer, my voice steel. Watch me. Jasper had a contact, a rogue journalist hungry for a scoop. I sent her the drive's contents, Mara's diner footage, and my story, every ugly truth. By morning, it was everywhere. Headlines screaming charity fraud, elite society exposed. Mara's name was poison, now her empire crumbling. Kane's echelon faced investigations, their secrets bleeding out. I drove Ellie home, the radio buzzing with news of arrests. She looked at me, her sketchbook open to a new design, bold, fearless. Did we do it? She asked. I smiled, my heart full. We did. But as we pulled into Willow Creek, my phone lit up, a voicemail from Ruth. Callie, how could you? She hissed. You've ruined us. I deleted it, no guilt left. They tried to break us, but we were unbreakable. That night, I sat with Ellie, her scrapbook open. A note from Lena, tucked inside, read, You were right. Stay fierce. I laughed, tears falling. Justice wasn't loud, it was quiet, like a girl in a lilac dress walking away from a toxic past. We'd won our freedom, but as I looked at Ellie sketching under the lamplight, a shadow lingered. Echelon was wounded, not dead. And somewhere Kane was still out there watching.